Hi, I'm Angela. This video is called Being Vulnerable with Self-Responsibility. So I wanted to distinguish in this video about being vulnerable with your feelings or fears in a relationship, or with things that you feel uncomfortable to express in the relationship, versus being someone who just blurts it all out. This was one thing I struggled with immensely for most of my life, and I'm still refining the art of expressing what I'm not comfortable about or what I might feel vulnerable about. And it can be as simple as domestics in the house or responsibilities of certain chores. So when I'm talking about self-responsibility, the piece about the self-responsibility means if I'm vulnerable with someone about what I'm experiencing, it's finding the language that's actually going to serve us both. And sometimes you can waste days, hours, months, years trying to get the right language. So I'm trying to circumvent that timeline for you with this quick advice about how to find the words that will give you self-responsibility for what you're feeling uncomfortable about or what you're feeling vulnerable about to share. So what do I do, and what has saved a lot of time, is sit with myself and think if I'm being vulnerable or wishing to be vulnerable with a specific person, not just anyone in general, but a specific person always helps me to focus my language and get the best language to suit the relationship or connection I have between the person and myself. And I think about what is it that I really want from this discussion and the relationship. And they can be two different things. Sometimes I think I want to tell the person that I'm upset about something or not impressed by something. But when I actually ask the other part, which is what do I want from the relationship, it could be something actually more like a deeper connection, more time on Saturday nights, more fun on this part of the weekend where we do this together. So it can actually be something that's very creative. And that then changes my whole conversation, and I focus on really the creative solution rather than the victim-y kind of, oh, I'm not getting what I want and this is not working for me type of situation. By looking at how you can be responsible for what you're feeling and what you want from the relationship, it changes what you do with your feelings of being vulnerable. And I understand now that with the modern stresses facing modern relationships and time, quality time, or having to share your time between so many demands, it is challenging to get to those places where you might be feeling more vulnerable, because you actually have to spend time facing that or listening to yourself. So self-responsibility is also, in terms of being vulnerable, is about saying, what do I need to actually hear myself and know what I'm feeling, rather than expecting the world to provide it for us or our partner to magically provide that for us. And unfortunately, even these days, for our parents to provide that for us. This is a little bit of a tangent, but related. I've always been a very big fan of Harry Potter. And one of the reasons is that the children in the story are forced into dire, life-threatening circumstances, and they have to solve a lot of problems, not just things to save their lives, but emotional problems by themselves. And I think that series was heralding a signature of our times, where not just children, but everyone is being forced to become more responsible for their feelings. And we have this opportunity in relationships today to start doing it real big time in our momentary feelings of being vulnerable. It could be when you're vulnerable, you just cover it up, run away and avoid, which is fine, that's human, we're emotional creatures. But it can also be that we have more opportunity to reflect. Use Harry, use the characters in the Potter series and how they actually think about their feelings. Sometimes they get angry, sometimes they take a moment after the anger, and often they do this to reflect. What made me angry? What made my friend angry? What is actually going on for me? How can I express this feeling that I have? And sometimes you will need to go to friends to get insights and share. So being vulnerable with responsibility, self-responsibility, is giving time to feel what's going on for yourself, but also not getting hung up on it like you've got to know everything and you've got to be wise and all-knowing. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Sometimes we need each other to also say, look, I actually don't understand what's going on here, but I could use your help. Not so that you could get answers from people or they could tell you what to do. Sometimes you may need a sounding board. And I've got a friend of mine who always tells me don't tell me what to do, just be my sounding board. So that's really helpful because then I know, okay, that's all I need to do right now. And that's all that's required of me and nothing more. And it allows our friendship to be much more powerful and more fulfilling for both. So self-responsibility, I invite it into a daily practice, in a momentary practice. Don't be stressed out about getting it right, looking at what your feelings are and factoring that into your time, into your day. And if you need to avoid, finding behaviors that are enjoyable to do so, rather than just simply running away, and letting yourself know that the feelings will still be there. So if you need to have a friend, tell them, something's come up for me. Can I share this with you? And explore what it could be that you're not feeling comfortable about. Giving those parameters to your friend helps as well.